let's just talk about where you're at now. So like, how are you running your current routine?
A similar deal to last time. I've been doing that since October of 2022, and I don't plan on going back. The only difference is that because I'm trying to increase my bench press now, so I'm mixing back in some strength training principles. I've reintroduced the max effort method, which involves a weekly single. So my background is conjugate. I'll max out on a variation every week. I'm always changing it up to overcome the law of accommodation and not get injured. And it keeps you psychologically fresh. You're always getting PRs, whatever, right? So I'll hit a top single. I will immediately do 3 sets of 10 at 70%. And technically, I can do 2 sets of 5 to 8 if I want. If my single was like an all out grind, I might just do that, especially if the weight is on the heavier side. But usually I'll do a back down of 3 by 10. So that's like my mini form of periodization, if you will. And then each week from there, I can increase the percentage by like 2.5% or reduce the reps in reserve by one, or maybe add 5 pounds a session for 3 weeks. And then I'll rotate out that variation. So that'll be done once a week. And the way I program nowadays is kind of upper lower. So what I figured out is, well, I knew this years ago, but the nervous system is one unit. It recovers together, and fatigue bleeds into your upcoming sessions, even if it's a different muscle. And this is the problem with push-pull legs. You're in the gym 6 days a week for twice a week frequency, but you never come in feeling fully fresh. And there's also muscular overlap to consider, right? And what I realized is that the full body approach and upper lower, there is no overlap. The whole upper body recovers together. Maybe there's a bit of overlap when you hit your legs if you're doing squats and deadlifts, but the difference that I do nowadays, so in the past it would have been like upper lower on Monday and Tuesday, then Wednesday rest, then upper lower Thursday, Friday, right? Well, now it's upper on Monday, Tuesdays off, legs on Wednesday, Thursday off, and then upper on Friday, which means my legs are only being hit once a week, but I compensate by increasing my volume on that day. Because if the weekly sets are equated, then you're good to go. And I personally don't care to have the same development as my upper body. Like, I'm more upper focus. I'm satisfied with my legs, and they're still growing. I'm still getting stronger every session. So that's on the back burner for now. And so Monday is where I'll do the max effort benching session, which also, because it's so tiring on the body, you'll notice that I get an additional day of recovery. So from Monday to Friday, I know that when I come into that Friday session, I'm recovered. And then to compensate on the Friday, I basically lower my volume just a tad bit. And this is where I will avoid excessive lengthened work. So you might notice on a Monday workout, I can do a really deep bench press. I'm going to do my deep dumbbell benches. I want to get that way to stretch, right? And I'm maxing out. So my nervous system is being destroyed. The muscle damage is rather high and the volume is a little bit higher. But on Friday, because, yeah,
DOMS? Do you experience DOMS after a day like that as well?
not really. Just
Okay.
sometimes the shoulders could be, that's like my weak link
Hmm.
soreness wise. It's never the pecs, and the
Oh,
triceps, it could be the elbows if I'm not being careful with the JM press.
okay.
If I'm not managing my overuse correctly. But my pecs are generally good. It's really the
Okay.
shoulder overuse that you have to take care of, right? But I do notice it. Like, if I max out on a Monday and then I try doing the same on a Thursday, I'm not fully recovered. I'm like 90% recovered, but I can tell that I'm a bit weaker than I'm supposed to be.
Hmm.
And the long term, that could potentially cause injuries, right? And so
Yes.
that's why I do Monday, Friday. But if you just look at it in a 7 day split, it's actually the same as if you did Monday and Thursday in terms of the days being
Of
divided
course.
in between. You're just flipping the order around. And that's what guys don't think about. So by me flipping it,
Ooh, that makes
you
sense because
understand what
the
I'm saying?
lengthen, yeah, because the lengthen work requires extra days. The shorten work or
So
less
that's
less lengthen work, maybe less days recovery. Nice, man.
so that's why I do it. I
Yeah.
could also just stick, I could do Monday, Thursday if I want, but then that means that the Thursday workout would have to be the max effort. But then you have to ask, where am I going to put in my legs? And the only answer to that would have to be on the Saturday. But guess what? I like to rest on the weekends. It's more convenient. You do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You get
Okay.
48 hours between the legs and the upper. Everything, there's no blending situation to worry about. And you divided the length and work more appropriately. This is where we were coming to. And so that's how I do it. And the upper sessions can either, it could feature everything in one, or I can do like presses in the morning and then back and buys at night if I feel like it.
Yeah, you can split that up as long as your base of the volume will be the same, the intensity will be the same, but you just kind of split up your workout because you can, because it's so convenient for you if you feel like
That's,
it.
there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you have
But
a
it's,
home gym. Yeah,
yeah. But if I feel
yeah,
real good, I'll do everything one shot. If I feel
yeah.
tired by the end, I'll come back a couple hours later, do the back and legs.
No,
And
that's
so that's it, 3 days a week.
yeah,
But
three
everything,
days a
the
week.
fatigue is managed perfectly at this point.
And we were talking last time, you're like, I'm still figuring out my split. I haven't
Yeah,
perfected it yet. Sounds like you've got it pretty much down at this point for the next, or at least for the foreseeable
it's
future. It sounds
it's
like
a
it.
good it's a great routine, but I would still say the upper lower push pull is better without the
Okay,
arm day.
tell us why.
It's better because everything gets equal attention. You see, there's still the upper workout is a compromise when it comes to arm development and your
Ah,
back. But because my back is overdeveloped, I don't mind slightly under prioritizing that. Like I don't care, and even the volume has come down on that a little bit. I'll probably just do weighted pull-ups and a row, or I might
mm,
just do a rack pull and a pull-up, and then hit some barbell curls, dumbbell curl, and then like some forearm work. So I've kept it a little bit more minimalist. You can say I've dropped out an exercise or two when it comes to my pull days, right? Whereas if it's push pull upper lower, well, nothing's ever gonna be neglected. Everything is equally balanced, and also it gives you the opportunity to train your hip hinges twice a week. So if I did, for
mm,
example, if I did upper lower, right, on the lower day, I could do something like an RDL or good morning, right? So upper lower is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. Thursday would be the push, in which my pressing muscles got that 72 hours of recovery split between the Monday. So that's ready. But then because I trained my legs on Tuesday and there's some upper back overlap, I need the Friday for that to be recovered, right? So that's why you
mm.
hit the pole on the Friday. But now, since my posterior chain is recovered, I can do rack pulls, and that's also going to grow my upper back. So this is how
Yeah,
you feed into it. So I can do a hip hinge even though I'm training legs once a week. So
yeah.
that's why I think it's a better split. You just get, more evenness.
I do think from what you're saying, it really does depend on your priorities at the time because, like,
100%.
you have to look at, okay, what are you prioritizing? And then that's going to just change things from maybe if you were prioritizing, oh, I'm going to prioritize my bench and my squat. Okay, that's going to look different than I'm going to prioritize my arms,
That's the
right?
reason. You can have more than one split in your rotation. It doesn't have to
Of
be like this
course.
is the last one for life,
No,
you know?
it's no, no. But it's
And
funny.
then
I feel like a part of us is always searching for that. At
like,
one
what's
point,
the
I was
best
like,
split? But
yeah. And even to like the advanced guys, like even myself at a certain point, I'm like, this is the routine for now. And then that changed after like a year or two. And then I went to a different one because your body adapts, your lifestyle changes, circumstances change. Then it's like, that's not it anymore. Then you get
yeah, I think it's
stronger, you get better at
life.
pushing
Yeah,
yourself.
that
And
too,
so many
right?
things.
So
Yeah.
lifestyle, preference,
Preference,
where
enjoyment. Yeah.
it's everything, man. Like you can even
Everything.
follow something that is not as optimal, but you enjoy getting after it.
You mentioned you work out kind of before supper-ish, right? Do you find that that works the best for you with your schedule and even strength?
These days, yeah.
Okay.
First of all, I find that it takes at least 2 to 6 hours to get the nervous system primed up. Sometimes I'll do it straight up in the morning. But the issue I find is that because I train so hard, it can leave me feeling tired for the rest of the day. In fact, like if I had a ball busting upper body workout, I just maxed out, I was in there for an hour and a half, my proximity to failure is high. And I do all compound movements, axially loaded, free weights. Like, you know how it is. When you're serious about bodybuilding, you're going to do what you got to do. And so I'm drained, man. Like sometimes I even got a nap, right? So like if I just train that way, it's hard for me to do a talking head segment. It's almost impossible if I'm being honest with you. Like we're having this talk right now. I made sure not to work out. So I'm going to work out immediately after. Or else you're going to see me in zombie mode. I'm just going to be unresponsive. So that's the reason why I don't do it in the morning, although I do enjoy it. I feel pretty fine and you get used to it. Like in 2018, I did it for a number of months and eventually my numbers were exactly the same. But again, it's that tiring effect that I don't like. Some people say, oh, when you work out in the morning, it should energize you. That's never been my experience, unless it's cardio. Cardio, you're getting the blood flowing. It's a little bit different. I've always been my strongest in the afternoon. And in the past, I would actually work out late at night. The problem was I would take pre workout or coffee right before. And if you're doing that late, then it interferes with your sleep. So for years, I thought I was a night owl. I would go to bed at like 3, 4 in the morning, but it's because I was having caffeine late at night to get my workout in. And nowadays, I just don't do that. Like the latest I will work out at is 10 o'clock, but even then, it's a little bit pushing it. I'd rather max it out at 9 so that maybe I finish at 10 if I'm being quick with my routine. But in the middle of the day is generally best.
Also, just scheduling wise, you feel like you can get productive work done business wise in the morning,
Exactly. You want to do
breaks
that
up your
first.
day. Yeah, it breaks up your
Exactly.
day. Now, I was gonna say for you, this is not an issue, but for maybe those who do go to public gyms, it's also nice because the gym is going to be dead around that time as well. So there's advantages for sure.
100%. Well,
Yeah.
that's a big advantage, especially if you go to a high-end gym. The best hours is between 10 and 11 a.m. because you miss all the people who are now at work, right? You need a flexible schedule to handle that. I'm privileged in that sense, right? The problem also is if you go like right after 5 o'clock, anywhere between 5 and 7 is a nightmare
Yes.
because you're waiting for machines, you feel pressured, you can't really take your time. And when I used to work out at gyms exclusively before I got this home gym, that's another reason why I would train later because I didn't want to deal with the crowd because I'm also filming my stuff, right? It could be a bit overwhelming when you have all these people around you.
It's interesting you brought that up because I think for content creators that could be a challenge, right?
It's a big challenge because also you got to get your angles in, right? And if you're too tight, then it doesn't look right. But if you're taking up all this space, I mean, you're blocking up segments of the gym where people are going to want to walk, and you're kind of being a douche in that case, if you ask me. Like, I'd rather ruin my shot than ruin other people's workouts. People are entitled nowadays. They think that they own the gym. Like, you're sharing a public space here. So have some respect. Make sure you put things discreetly. But obviously, if the gym is somewhat empty or it's not overly occupied, then you can have some fun with your angles. You could put it straight in the middle, zoom in at 70 millimeters, and your shots will look fantastic. But otherwise, that does make a difference. And for hardcore gyms, I found that you can only get good videos after 10 p.m. Straight up. If you go anytime before, it's just too crowded. That's why, like, if you look at whenever I had gym footage, it was always late at night, just for the filming reasons. I could have made my life easier and gone earlier. I would have been less tired, but hey, you do what you got to do. And I like taking my time, like, especially in a strength block or whatever. If I'm resting 3 to 5 minutes between sets and I'm moving around my camera, I don't want to be there all day and people are just waiting for me, especially if there's not a lot of those pieces.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes sense, man. I haven't done the whole content thing and like in a gym. So I can't
Well, you'll
fully
see.
relate to yeah, can't fully relate to that yet, but I can imagine. And I see it sometimes at the gym. I'm like, come on. Like this is a busier time.
Like, come
Even
on, bro.
even if it's the afternoon, it's a busier time, like know when to, you know. But anyways, nonetheless, it's nice that you have a home setup and that is like legit and perfect for what you're
It's
doing.
a
So
game
it's
changer.
like, yeah, it's a game changer, right? I can
I
imagine.
recommend it to everybody. Everyone should
Yeah,
have a power rack and a bar in their house because even though sometimes the gyms can be closed, like for
that's
holidays
true.
or maybe you had a busy day and it closes in an hour and you won't be able to make it in time. So it's good to have that backup.
For
Or if it's
sure.
not in a lifting context, you can at least do calisthenics. Have a pull-up bar, some rings, do something. Don't skip it.